Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Living Generationally podcast. I'm your host, Brianna Laurie, and this is where we explore how our everyday choices ripple through our lives and the lives of those who come after us. This is where purpose begins, where gratitude grows, and where accountability leads to legacy. And it's been a while. It's been 2 weeks. Yes, I think today. It's been 2 weeks since I posted a podcast episode, and I'm going to explain why that is later on in a podcast episode. But I am excited to get back to posting more consistently with the podcast episodes and just different things that the Lord is teaching me and different topics that is on my heart that He has placed on my heart as well too. And I'm excited for you to come alongside me in that and to grow and to learn together as well too. And yeah, and I feel like I need a refresher of what it means to live generationally. And I feel like this podcast just reminds me, like, as I become more consistent with the podcast episodes and I begin to research and learn in my own life and walk with the Lord in different challenges and hardships in life, I am able to more apply this living generationally mindset to my own life. And it's really cool to see how the Lord is using the podcast, and I call it a passion project of living generationally to encourage my own life and to guide me as well too as I'm navigating my younger years and just leaning on Him and learning as well too. So I am very excited to be back and to create more podcast episodes and different topics that I like and I enjoy, or different things that pique my interest. I don't know. There's so many different things that I would love to discuss in future podcast episodes, and also I would love to hear what y'all want to hear as well too, or listen to, or different topics or ideas that stick out to you and um, that you would love for me to talk about or start the conversation on, because I'm 23 years old and I'm still learning and growing as well, and just want to grow and have a teachable heart as well too. And if you're listening or watching, okay, so you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or you can watch the video or listen to the video on YouTube. And that is one way that you can support living generationally, is by listening. If you're clicking on this video, you're listening to it on YouTube, or if you're clicking on this podcast episode, you're listening to the podcast episode on Spotify or Apple. But I would encourage you to listen all the way to the end, so that you can hear what I want to say, I guess. But also it also just um helps a lot with the podcast, just if you watch to the end. And um yeah, it makes a big difference with like the algorithm and stuff. You If you know, like, the YouTube algorithm, and it just helps a lot with that. So um yeah. So if you've been listening to the Living Generationally podcast, you know that Mondays are for me just diving into what the Lord is doing in my life and how I am applying living generationally to my life. And this mindset, living generationally, considering how my daily actions and decision making not only impacts my own life, but the lives of those around me and the lives of those to come, and just considering um yeah, that my actions are important and that they aren't just random, or I mean, your actions could be random, but they don't just have a random effect, that they do have consequences, whether good or bad. And it's just important that we think about that. um so that's kind of what Mondays are for, just kind of me allowing you to have a window into my own life, so you can see what Brianna is learning, and how she's applying this to her life, and how maybe some struggles I'm facing as well too, because there are a lot of struggles I have in different seasons of life, and the Lord is teaching me amidst that to rely on His grace. But He's also growing this idea of living generationally in my heart and in my life as I walk with Him through daily living. Um, but before we get into that, I want to just kind of talk about just like where have I been? Like you probably like, oh, you haven't posted in 2 weeks, or yeah. So I haven't posted in 2 weeks. I didn't plan on not posting in 2 weeks. Like I didn't plan. I did plan, or kind of planned, taking like a week off, but it kind of like led to another week. Um, but I went to go visit a friend in Massachusetts, um, and then we headed to a conference in Michigan, a Bible conference. So that was really cool. Um, yeah, to do that and to kind of spend time with my friend, and I really enjoyed that as well too. And then I came back, and then just had some other things to do as well too, just hanging out with friends and just celebrating um, friends as well too. As one of my friends, or within our friend circle, she got engaged some time ago, and we're just celebrating her this past weekend. So just some a lot of beautiful, lovely things of just visiting friends and having very rich community time with young people and older brothers and sisters in the Lord as well too, and just yeah, it was really fun and cool. And now I am back home, and I'm excited to kind of get this started. And I was, let's be honest, I was in a little of a rut. Also as well too with the podcast, just kind of getting discouraged, but also just learning that like, hey, like things take time and things ebb and flow, and um, there are highs and lows. But just knowing that they're gonna grow me and they're going to stretch me, and it's all being used for good. Um, but also got in a bit of a rut coming back home too, just kind of just being filled with a lot of questions and just wondering what is next, and just how it goes as a young person. It can be in your older years as well too, but this I'm young and 23, and navigating these younger years can be quite a challenging sometimes. Be quite a challenging sometimes. Can be quite a challenge sometimes. So that was kind of the past 2 weeks of just like taking a break, but also just diving into community and fellowship, and being revived in that way, and being stretched as well too, as I'm going to be talking about in a podcast of what I've been learning. And it's a lot of what I've been learning has been from those past 2 weeks of just being away, and being stretched, and yeah, and just realizing the importance of being around others, and just navigating hard and challenging times in my own life, but also in my friends' lives as well too, as they are navigating different challenges and learning how to walk alongside them and not just abandoning them because I have my own issues, and just learning a lot. Just um, yeah, so I'm excited to get into all of that. And if you hear a noise in the background, it is my sister's turtle tank. But we're just gonna keep going and just keep rolling with the podcast episode, and we'll worry about it later. But something that I learned from these past 2 weeks that really stretched me, but also was really good for me as well too, is the importance of um, being there for your friends as they're going through rough times, but also real friendship and relationships is formed by seeing maybe the parts of a friend that you wouldn't normally see, in a sense, like they fall short, they sin, they have moments where they are going through something hard, or they are struggling, and it's like learning to navigate that. Because I think, okay, I'm gonna speak for myself, but I think sometimes when I think I'm so used to holding up this perfect side, like I'm not perfect, but it's like sometimes I can have like this covering of perfection that I'm only showing people the perfect side. Then when I see the imperfections in my friends, I sometimes I am tempted to judge, and I am tempted to kind of point out, oh, you're like this and that and this. I was like, wait, Brianna, like they're not perfect and I'm not perfect, and they're being sanctified by Christ and I'm being sanctified by Christ each and every day. And it's like, I think just having the opportunity to experience that, and because I've experienced, yeah, I'm just learning a lot about like doing relationships and friendships well, and recognizing that none of us are perfect, and to allow our friends to see the imperfect parts of of us, because we're gonna fall short. We're gonna have moments where we implode, or something's overwhelming and it's hard to handle, and it's like, what a wonderful opportunity that we have in that moment to pray over our friends and to pray over ourselves also, that we would not judge our friends, but that we can be a source of grace and help in a time where they're overwhelmed. And that is so sanctifying to me and so stretching, because my first reaction is not to do that, and the Lord is stretching me, and it's uncomfortable, and I feel that like it's uncomfortable, but it's good as well too, because I want, a part of living generationally is living in community with other people and doing life with other people. And I think sometimes we can dream of that, like, oh, being in community and doing life with other people, but it's hard. Like, there's conflict. We all have our own sinful nature and sins that we struggle with, and we are imperfect people. And it's like, it takes work to be in community and do community well. And I'm learning that. I feel like I feel like I'm having a reality check of how hard it could be at times, but it's beautiful. It's so beautiful, but it's so hard at the same time too, but worth it. And I'm just learning to not run, because I think before in the past, like, definitely be the person that would run or just be like, I don't want to deal with this. And it's like, no, Brianna, like, the Lord is sanctifying me. The Lord is sanctifying my friends and my community. And um, to do community well, we have to see those parts of each other that maybe aren't the prettiest, but it's like, how can we love one another in those moments, and how can we help one another and build one another up? Because especially when you're part of the family of faith and you're walking with the Lord, none of us are perfect. The Lord knows our innermost thoughts and um, the hidden secrets of our hearts. He knows everything, and we can't hide from the Lord. And what a wonderful opportunity to embody that in our relationships with others, appropriately, because there's different contexts and different things, but it's like, it's good to be in relationships with others and friendship with others, and to learn how to navigate um, hard conversations or conflicts or different personalities, and learning how to be gracious. And yeah, and that can also carry on excuse me, into marriage as well too. I'm not married, but Lord willing, one day I will be. And it's like, takes work. It's like beautiful. It's hard, but it takes work and a lot of prayer. But I am definitely in learning how to be faithful, how to be a faithful friend, and when someone else is going through a hardship, but also when I'm going through a hardship as well too, because for me it is so easy, or maybe for you too, it can be so easy to to be tempted to abandon someone when you're going through a hardship and you don't know how to be a good friend when you're going through a hardship, and maybe they're going through a hardship as well too. And it's like, sometimes it can be difficult to navigate that. But what I'm just learning is like, to not run, but to be honest and with your friends, and maybe you may need some space or some time, or maybe, like, I don't know, that's what communication and conversations are for. But I'm just learning that, to actually dive in rather than separating, in a sense of like isolating myself. Like, I can acknowledge we're everyone in some point of in their life is going to go through a hardship, and it's like, um really need to be people um who don't abandon our friends when we're going through a hardship, and they're going through a hardship as well too, and then that can be difficult to navigate because it's hard. But I believe that the Lord is good and He is gracious, and um, yeah, and He helps us navigate those tricky situations, and He gives us the strength if we ask of it, and even when we don't ask of it, I believe just His grace and loving kindness He gives it. But what a beauty and beautiful thing to ask of it. And yeah, and that goes into my other point, or something that I've learned is like supporting one another in hard times. And I kind of talked a bit about that. It's like it's important that we're supporting our friends and family as they go through hard times, and just learning how to be a light and learning what they need, and them learning what you need, because it's a relationship. We're growing together, and we're learning how to love one another, and to grow, but also respecting when they do need space, and learning that as well too. Because it can be hard sometimes, and I can sometimes get easily offended, and I'm learning that it's not about me. It's not all about me. um and I just need to understand that and to know that. Um yeah, it's really good. And also, like, something that was really, I don't know if I'm going to talk about this, but something that has stuck out to me from, like, it was this past weekend, but it's like another way that we can support one another is helping each other out, and um making sure that we are there for one another, and if someone is in need, making sure that we, if especially if we can um help, making sure that we help. That's the importance of being in community and having community, is that we are there for one another when things, in the good times and the bad times as well too, and in great need, or even in little need as well too. The Lord has given us blessings for a reason, and I'm learning that. I'm just learning that, and it's stretching me, because I can be very selfish at times and not want to share, want to give. And it's like the Lord is reminding me that what He's given me is not mine to. I mean, He's entrusted it to me, so in a sense, it is mine. But He's also expecting me, from His loving kindness, to be an outpouring of His grace to others through the blessings He has given me. And I'm just learning how to do that, and it's stretching and it's hard, because it isn't always my first instinct. My first instinct is not to share, and if that comes up, it's truly the Lord's grace, because my first instinct is to keep things to myself and to not really share. And the Lord is has done such a great work in my life and is growing me, and I'm sure there's a lot more growth and stretching to come, which is uncomfortable, but um good, and hard, but good. Um, yeah, and I just witnessed that this weekend, just seeing friends like help one another, and to serve one another and to love on one another, and it was just so beautiful to witness and see, and just a great conviction to my own heart, and an encouragement to my own heart as well too. As I want to apply living generationally, and being intentional with how I live and how I do life with others as well too. Just so beautiful to witness that. Um, yeah, and even if you don't know someone that well, like, I think we can put boundaries on the Lord's grace, and it's like, or limits on the Lord's grace, and it's like, let the floodgates of the Lord's grace overflow, and see what He does. um yeah, and that kind of goes into putting yourself aside, and recognizing the beauty in doing that. Like, no one can have a good relationship if they're putting their self on, if they are focusing on themselves, or putting themselves on a pedestal. Like, no one can have a good relationship. Like, that's how relationship fails and friendship fails, because one is being selfish and focusing on their own self, and not recognizing that the relationship is actually, or friendship is more important than the gratitude of your own selfish desires. And it's not to say that you don't have desires of your own. It's to say that, are you willing to put someone else's desires before yours? And I'm learning that a lot and being stretched in that a lot in this season of life. And I'm sure in many other seasons of life, the Lord is going to test me and grow me in that area. But I'm very grateful that He's a good Father that is willing to do that even when I am unwilling to grow. So very grateful for that. And just recognizing that relationships and friendships become so more such like become more of a treasure and more beautiful when you live in such a way of putting aside yourself and being a listening ear. Maybe when you're tired, I think I talked about this in the last podcast episode, like listening when you may not want to listen to the conversation, or just serving when you're tired, um or just helping out maybe if you didn't necessarily plan to help out. It's like, no, like go and do that. And it's just, it richly blesses your soul. Like and the Lord, He's so gracious, and He allows us to experience and take part in the joy of that. And it's really beautiful and cool. And something else I've been challenged in is loving those who have different values than you, or who come from a different, yeah, who have different values than you or different worldview as you, and just learning how to be faithful with those relationships, um, even when you don't always see eye to eye on things. I feel like I'm not, no, I'm definitely not an expert in this. I'm being stretched and grown, yes, growing every day, yes. And it's hard. It is hard. It's so hard. But the Lord's grace that comes through if I allow it. Because His grace is present and is there. But if I am resistant, then it makes it harder to have those relationships. And we can't force people um to have the same values as us, and we can't, um yeah, there are limits to our will, and we have to respect that. And learning to, yeah, yeah, as you can see, I'm still learning and processing. But yeah, I feel like I just got encouraged in that, and stretched in that, just as I got an opportunity to um see that these past 2 weeks in my own life and friends' life, and just learning to rely and trust in the Lord in that. And yeah, and and that comes to also the idea of leaning on the Lord's grace, and just knowing the sweetness of it as well too. Um, oh my goodness, I say to the Lord, Lord, I would not be able to survive if I did not have Your grace, because some moments are just so hard. But He's so good, and He is shaping my perspective, and He is shaping my heart. But the more I rely on the Lord's grace, the more I feel like the more like I feel like I'm seeing through the lens of Christ, even though I don't have the fullness of that. But it's like, the more I lean on grace, the more I'm like, oh Lord, like, oh Lord, I need Your grace so much. I need Your grace. I need Your grace. I need Your grace. And in that, it kind of encourages me to show grace to others, and to um yeah, and to be merciful to others as well too. And I think it's very important, especially when you're in community and relationship with others, and um, challenges and hardships come, it's like if you don't have grace, what do you have? Like, grace is just so sweet, and I just need it so much every day, and just yeah. But I think that is it for today's podcast episode, and just some things I've been learning and growing in, and what I've been being stretched in, and there's so many other things. But I want to continue this, and to continue to process, and to continue to have these. And obviously, I got to save some other ideas for other content. Can't share it all in one podcast episode. Um, yeah, but I'm excited to be back and doing living generationally, and it my emotions ebbs and flow, but I'm learning to be consistent, and to be faithful what the Lord has entrusted in my care. Um, yeah, but I'm very grateful that you have listened. I'm very grateful if you have listened all the way to the end, and I hope you have a lovely day. Um, and yeah, and that you live with legacy leading to the future. Goodbye, friends.